The Chinese stock market plunged earlier in the week, sending shockwaves across the globe. The Shanghai Composite closed 5% higher yesterday to recover some of Black Monday's losses. Are markets a little calmer now at the end of the week? Well, Ken Veksler, Director of Accumen Management, is joining me on the line to give us his view on markets at present.
I suppose it all depends on the definition of calm. I mean, is there slightly less volatility than we've seen over the last few days? Well, yeah, certainly there is. But I think, honestly, that's more a function of fatigue having set in and a bit of position clearing all done and dusted, rather than an overall sense of calm having descended on markets presently.
Japanese data out this week disappointed as inflation fell back to zero in July. Are you expecting any action from the Central Bank of Japan in the near term?
No, I think, we're looking sort of towards the end of maybe October, November for any sort of next hint, as it were, of their intention. But I think in the near term, much like everyone else, the Japanese are certainly looking towards the Fed for some sort of indication as to whether there will be a rate rise or not this year. And I think any sort of further action, should they take it, will be subsequent to that picture or that scenario being cleared up a little bit with regard to the Fed.
Switzerland's economy grew better than expected in the second quarter due to spending and investment. What are you expecting from Switzerland in the second half of the year?
For the large part, we expect sort of trend maintenance, and what I mean by that is a continuation of the theme, potentially not at the same pace as we've witnessed over the last few months, or certainly last quarter or so, but for the most part, things should settle into a fairly steady stream of, as I said, a continuation of the present trend.
UK GDP expanded 0.7% in the second quarter. In your opinion, Ken, will we see this kind of momentum in the second half of the year, or will the strong pound have a negative impact on exports?
The pound, I think, for the most part, has done its dash, so to speak, with regards to any further strength. We're now in a situation where the pound, as well as the actual economic data, which it mimics to a large degree, has probably found a plateau. So I don't think that any further strength in the pound is likely to catastrophically hinder further growth. I do, however, think that any inclination towards a rate rise from the Bank of England this year should probably be shelved, and we're certainly looking for something towards the end of Q1 at the earliest next year.
And what can you tell us about the economic sentiment in the euro area at the moment?
Interestingly enough, the sentiment is actually somewhat divergent from the underlying data presently. I mean, the data, while certainly not amazing for Europe and the euro area, has, to a large degree, depending on how you measure it, found some sort of buoyancy, and we are seeing some sort of reversal, as it were, in some of the leading indicators and certainly the underlying economic fundamentals. Sentiment, on the other hand, however, remains relatively negative, probably not as bad as it was even a month or two ago, but certainly no one's entirely yet convinced that the worst is over for the Eurozone.
And finally, what should investors be paying close attention to next week?
There's a number of things out. I mean, first and foremost, investors will probably be keeping a keen eye on developments in China over the weekend and whether there's any further policy introduction or statements made by the PBOC. And following that, the next probably key thing is to look out for Chinese manufacturing and non-manufacturing, actually PMI, out on Tuesday. Further out, there's the Australian RBA meeting, which should probably be a non-event, but hard to say in light of recent events in China. Outside of that, we've also got, of course, the ECB meeting, which is the first one we've had in probably around 6 weeks or so. So there will be a fair bit of focus to hear, or to see rather, what the ECB has to say and what Mario Draghi certainly does say in the press conference in light of recent global events. And then, of course, the headline number to round out the week will be the NFP non-farm payrolls on Friday, which is looking to be a fairly significant indicator of where and how the Fed may look to act at their September meeting.
Well, thank you, Ken, for sharing your insight. Well, traders, that is all from me for today. Have a great weekend ahead. Goodbye for now.